Conrad had feelings for Belly before the summer she turned pretty, and I have proof. This seems to be a highly debatable topic, but I feel like it's really obvious. Conrad buys Belly the infinity necklace for her birthday to give to her at Cousins, but he then chooses not to give it to her at the time and pretend that he forgot about her birthday. It's pretty clear that Conrad has bought the necklace before the summer began. He clearly planned to give it to her for her birthday, and I believe this probably happened before he found out about his mother's diagnosis and his parents and their whole cheating situation. Now, this timing matters because it's very clear that he has been thinking of Belly before the summer began, thinking of her as someone who is probably deeply important to him and possibly more than a childhood friend. And the fact that he chose a gift that specifically references a part of their friendship and their relationship as younger children that has some sort of emotional weight with Belly, but I think it also means it has emotional weight with him. I feel like it's pretty obvious that the reason that he is holding the necklace in his hand and still doesn't give it to her, he's clearly tossing around in his head whether or not he's going to give it to her, because I think he knows that once he does give that to her, it's a confirmation of his feelings. He knows what it means. He knows what it will symbolize when he gives it to her. And because of everything going on with his emotional state around his mother's diagnosis and the secrecy of that and trying to figure out what he's going to do dealing with his anxiety, he knows it's not a good time to open that door to a relationship with Belly, and so he ends up not giving it to her. That's why in season 1, when she finds the necklace in his drawer, it's like a moment of clarity for her that exposes Conrad for how he actually feels for her, even though he's been very aloof and hot and cold and acting not like himself. That is confirmation for her. And I think once he knows that, when she talks to him about it, he's like, okay, I've been found out now, so that door has been opened slightly. I need to sort of address this with her. And I think he sort of feels like, okay, well, maybe I should go for it anyway. Of course, because Conrad is a chronic overthinker and a very anxious person, he doesn't communicate all that well, especially in the season that he's in, dealing with everything. But that's, what leads them to that moment on the 4th of July in the evening where they almost kiss. The scene that is often brought up as a defense to this whole idea is the scene with Conrad on the boat with Cleveland, where he says, I always thought of her as a little kid, but now she's not. Now, I feel like he's not necessarily saying that this shift in his feelings for her happened right then and there that summer. I think he's more likely just verbalizing the emotional process that he's been going through internally for months or even years. It's like he's finally saying it out loud and admitting it, that it's real, when he says that to Cleveland. I think really what he's saying is he always tried to think of her as a little kid because that was the safer choice, but now he sort of can't lie to himself anymore. And also, she's just turning 16 at the beginning of the summer. She literally was too young to be dating someone who's a couple years older than her quite seriously just yet anyway. The infinity necklace is so symbolic of their whole relationship, which is something I'll get into in a future video. But I think in terms of the timing of when he bought it, it's so clear that he has always cared for Belly and in some way felt romantically drawn to Belly. He's clearly been thinking about that before the summer started, and then it was just the events of his mum and his parents' marriage and everything that happened that caused him to sort of stall and not go with the natural progression that their relationship was heading in. Which I think is why Belly was so shocked at his behavior at the beginning of the summer, because they had clearly been building to something to the point where she was almost expecting a next step at the beginning of this summer. And he was acting so strange and so different. It had her very confused. When Belly finds the necklace hidden in Conrad's drawer, it's a moment of profound clarity for her. She realizes that even though Conrad has been hot and cold all summer, his actions of buying the necklace contradict his behavior. And it confirms that his feelings on some level run deep for her, but he just doesn't know how to express them. And I think it's meant to let us know that too. Us as the audience can see the conflict he's having over giving her the necklace or not to give her the necklace because he knows what that will open. And yet a lot of people are still saying that he didn't have feelings for her before that summer. But I just feel like the fact that he bought that necklace beforehand clearly shows that that's not the case, that he did know that something was there and he knew what giving her the necklace would symbolize. But we're all entitled to different opinions. I understand that. But this is just my 2 cents.